Hey y'all, welcome back to Gadfly, the podcast about, I guess, Catholic shit now. I mean, who fucking knows? It's, I've researched enough about it. We might as well just do every pope in history at this point.
Fuck yes.
It's great. We're going to talk about Pius 1 through 12, and it's going to be a series, and I doubt it's going to go well.
Get to the orgies.
My God. So yeah, typically we're a podcast that does third parties, French candidates, and generally weird American electoral history, but I fucked up. I decided I'd talk about American Antipopes, and It took a lot to cover what everyone needs to know before I actually talk about the people that I wanted to talk about. But thank y'all for getting through all of that. It's some wacky shit in some regards. And, now that we know all about Vatican II and how popes are elected and how antipopes come around, I think we're ready to talk about, or to resume talking about, the four sects that formed after Vatican II of traditionalists who are very, very mad. We have the regular traditionalists who are still part of the Catholic Church, but are still very mad at the changes. We have a set of privationists who believe that, yes, the Pope was elected, but he's fallible. He's a guy. Wasn't a very popular option, but some took it. Which brings us to who we're beginning to talk about today, the set of vacantists.
Who believe that the Pope is a changeling.
Yeah.
The real Pope was stolen by the Fae.
Look, this is a David Icke podcast about how the Pope is actually a lizard in a Pope outfit. He's Space Pope, as Futurama depicts him.
Yes. Is the Space Pope reptilian? Duh.
Yes. But yeah, so their essential deal is that a guy was elected to Pope, but due to a series of heresies, he cannot legitimately be Pope, nor can the people who voted for him be allowed to vote for him. So it's just an empty void.
Yeah, rotten hell, everyone.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to say before I go into this is I owe a ton of thanks to a Swedish professor by the name of Magnus Lundberg, who has developed a really interesting niche of knowledge where he just studies the post-Vatican II anti-pope movement.
Wow.
He feels a lot more comfortable calling them alternative popes, and he's probably right because it's not really official people making these people popes. So alternative pope is probably more of an accurate term. It's just
alternative pope.
I've just been saying anti-pope for so long for the past couple of weeks that it's hard to get it out of my head. But yeah, if you want to check out his work, definitely go to his website at magnuslundberg.net. It is very much a WordPress site, but the information is so good and it's very interesting.
Dope. Thanks, Magnus.
So on with the show.
But first, the rosary.
Yes.
Everyone on your knees.
Oh my God. All right. I don't know how this goes. It's sad I made a rosary for D&D, but don't know how to use it.
That's so right. Well, you'd be using it differently.
Look, we all know the All-Father is the one true God. Dragon Catholicism is the way forward.
He's an alt pope.
How dare you? How dare you? So the Sedevacantists, the one guy that we have to talk to that really, I would say he's the father of Sedevacantism, a dude by the name of Francis Conrad Schuckart. So Francis was born in Seattle, Washington in 1937. His upbringing could best be described as very Catholic. He went to Catholic school pretty much his entire childhood and graduated from the all-boys O'Day High School and finished things up by going to the Jesuit-affiliated Seattle University, where he double-majored in education and linguistics in 1959. He'd go to the seminary in Carthage, Missouri, but after 1 year, he had to drop out for medical reasons. And this is going to be a theme for Frank. His body does not work well.
Oh.
So he went back to Seattle and started teaching high school. In his free time, he volunteered for the Blue Army of Our Lady of Fatima. The Blue Army had been started in 1949 by Reverend Father Harold Colgan of Plainfield, New Jersey. Now, Our Lady of Fatima is one of the many titles given to the Virgin Mary based off a series of apparitions seen by 3 children in Fatima, Portugal in 1937. And I would say has become a very popular sort of sect. It probably isn't the right word, but area of belief within modern Catholicism.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite parts about Catholicism is you get this like lightly patinaed paganism.
Yeah. Like the Virgin Mary gets a brand new title every time that there is an apparition of her in a new place.
Like there should really be like Our Lady of Fricasseed for how many times she shows up on a grilled cheese.
I mean, look, if that's the mode that she wants to appear in, bless her. I mean, she's already blessed, so I don't know how that works. So I think it's important to kind of talk about this because it really influences a lot of how Frank lives his life. So Our Lady of Fatima is one of the titles given to the Virgin Mary, and it was based on apparitions seen by 3 children in Fatima, Portugal in 1937. Three children would state that the Virgin Mary met with them multiple times and would either pray with them, offer them a prayer that would end World War I, and one time gave them a vision of hell itself.
Oh no.
Yeah, these children were like 7 at most. Between 7 to 12. So one of the things that Mary also gave them was considered to be one of the 3 secrets. One of the secrets was the vision of hell. The second one was a way to end World War I. And the third was a list of prophecies that she gave to this kid. And so Sister Lucia, as she would eventually be known after she became a nun, would tell the Catholic Church, this is yours, but you need to release it in 1960. It shouldn't be released before because people are going to misinterpret it. 1960 is the time people need to see it so they know what to watch out for.
Bum, bum, bum.
And the church didn't release it until 2000.
What church?
And some people believe that they didn't release the whole thing.
Ooh.
So it's not ultra... I haven't read it, so I can't really say what it says or what it doesn't say. But Pope Benedict the 16th stated that the prophecy very clearly warned of the assassination attempt on Pope John Paul II and was really clear that, hey guys, you might have a child abuse problem in the future you need to watch out for, amongst other things that may happen in the future as well.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, I would maybe entrust that to an adult, but kids, you can tell a kid to do something and they'll probably be more apt to do it. So look, I'm not here to tell the Virgin Mary how to do her post-death job. So above all, Mary promised the children that she would present a huge miracle in October to prove that she is who she was. Sister Lucia would state that she did worry a bunch of times that it was actually the devil telling her to do these things, and that this miracle that was upcoming was one of the things that gave her faith that, all right, I'm at least going to find out one way or the other who this is. So one of the kids' moms was listening in on all this, and as a joke told her neighbor that, like, hey, the Virgin Mary's coming to my kids. And the neighbor took it seriously. And before long, news spread across all of Portugal. So on October 13th, between 30 to 100,000 people made the pilgrimage to Fatima, Portugal to see this miracle unfold. And what occurred that day became known as the miracle of the sun. The 3 children would say they saw a literal panorama of Jesus, Mary, and Saint Joseph blessing the crowd. Others state that there was a bit of rain, and then the clouds broke, and then the sun appeared as an opaque spinning disc that then zigzagged through the sky, careened straight to earth, and then went right back to normal. Some others reported that after this happened, their clothes were completely dry. As for others, they say they saw a kind of multicolored effect in the clouds, and that was about it. And others say they didn't see anything at all.
And others said it was a Tuesday.
Oh, you're in Fatima? Yeah, that happens every Tuesday. It's like the lights at Niagara Falls, man. They love it. So the children had also stated that the miracle would bring about the end of World War I, but fighting did continue for about another year and month after that.
Give or take.
Look, but one priest in particular, Emmanuel Forgal, had serious concerns as to the validity of the children's claims. He doesn't appear to think that they're outright lying, but probably did see something that led them to believe that they were talking to the Virgin Mary. One of the side effects, though, is that the children seemed to believe that they had to conduct penance on themselves to continue seeing the Virgin Mary. Which led to ill health and, as Manuel assumed, hallucinations. So for one, the children decided that they should fast from food and water as much as they could. But you kind of need water to keep living. Instead of drinking clean water, though, they felt like to be able to at least be close enough to fasting, they drank water from a pond that was used by the town for laundry.
Oh, no.
They would also wear cords around their waist that they tied so tight, it caused bleeding on a regular basis. The Virgin Mary would put a stop to this, though, saying, hey, only do that when you're awake. Stop doing it at night. You're doing great.
Cut that shit out.
I appreciate your suffering.
Why are my people so weird?
As for the miracle of the sun, there are kind of a few explanations that have come around as to, like, certain weather phenomenons do cause multicolored lights in the sky, like, to fragment rainbows and things like that. But the thing I tend to believe more is that when you stare at the sun for a really long time, it can overload the retina and lead to solar retinitis, which means your eye can no longer process light normally.
Oh, God damn it. Don't stare at the sun.
Right? Yeah. And if you're told Jesus and Mary and Joseph are going to be coming out of the sun, you probably shouldn't look away as much as you can. So as for the kids, 2 would end up dying of Spanish flu the next year and were canonized as saints in 2017. Sister Lucia would become a Carmelite nun and live until 2005. And currently she is one step in on the process to gaining sainthood. I think it's a 3-step process. I think you have to prove 3 miracles or something like that.
Yes.
And then you're a saint.
There's 3 miracles and then paperwork. I don't know.
Paperwork is the miracle.
Touche.
That has to be a joke within, like, the accounting department at the Vatican. As for Reverend Father Colgan, he'd seriously fallen ill, and while he was in the hospital, he prayed to Our Lady of Fatima, and that if she cured him, he would devote his entire life to spreading devotion to her. And he recovered, and true to his word, he started the Blue Army around the vision of Our Lady of Fatima. Now, Francis would work in this group, spreading the word of Our Lady Fatima, but in 1961, he was struck with typhoid. For an 8-day period, he slipped in and out of a coma, and during his waking hours, he prayed to Our Lady of Fatima and attributes the prayer to him pulling through. His health would fail once again in 1963, this time due to thrombophlebitis. You know that old chestnut.
Thrombophlebitis.
It was in his legs. That's the thing I can easily pronounce.
Oh, thrombosis?
Yes. It's essentially there's inflammation in your veins that cause blood clots, and it typically happens in the legs. So there was a strong possibility that they were going to have to amputate his leg to save his life. Once again, Francis called on Our Lady of Fatima, this time promising that if he got to keep his legs, he would walk the world to spread her message. And it worked. He got to keep his leg, and he recovered, only to get sick by multiple other things as his life went on.
Oh my God. But that voucher is just still good, man.
Look, man, get 10, get a free sub, I guess. I don't know what free item comes along with miracles.
I just keep thinking how much doper this country would be if like Catholic kids ended up in Salem instead of
oh my God,
sad Puritans.
Anyway. So yeah, he keeps his leg, he's out of the hospital, and Francis ends up becoming a star speaker for the Blue Army. He's 26, he's loaded with charisma, and he's one of the best people they have out there.
And he will not die.
Nope, no matter what bacteria throw at him, he is gonna pray and get better. He'd be elected to the International Council of the Blue Army, where he held the position of secretary. People who saw him would rave his charisma in the organization, and he seemed destined for greatness. And then that all fell apart the moment Vatican II dropped. He started incorporating his hatred of the changes in his speeches. By 1967, the Blue Army had enough and formally kicked him out.
Wow.
But that didn't mean that Francis was off the hook. He made a promise to the Virgin Mary to keep going, and he was going to do it. So he started his own organization. He had moved to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and started the traditionalist community known as the Fatima Crusade.
Oh my God. What is it about Coeur d'Alene? Because there's like a Buddhist monastery out there too.
It's a I don't know, it's on some ley lines. I don't know what to tell you.
Seriously. I mean, I'm sure it's beautiful, but that helps.
And he also started his own church sect that he called the Tridentine Latin Rite Catholic Church, where the whole thing is we do Latin Mass, fucking deal with it.
We're doing it Latin.
And later he would rebrand the name of this church as the Congregation of Mary Immaculate Queen. The thing though is, if you said, hey, nice new church, he would stop you and say, no, this isn't a new church. It's a proper continuation of the Roman Catholic Church before Vatican II. Which means his church is the only true Roman Catholic Church in the world. As for Pope Paul, he referred to him as the anti-heretic of Rome, and of the mainstream church, he called it the Church of the Beast. So, making some really good inroads. But thanks to Francis's charisma and enough Idaho Catholics being pissed at the reforms, his church grew. They were even able to establish a second community in the city of Rathdrum, Idaho, which they dubbed the City of Mary. There was one big hitch, though. Since Francis never graduated from the seminary, he had never been ordained as a priest.
Whoa.
But lucky for Francis, his movement had reached the ears of Daniel Quilter Brown, a bishop of the old Roman Catholic sect, which we talked about previously as the group that separated from the church after Vatican I. Brown had just been made bishop himself in 1969, but in 1971, he'd chosen to leave the old Catholic Church and become an independent sedevacanist. Daniel and Francis would become friends that same year, and he ordained Francis as a priest on October 31st. And then one day later, made him a bishop.
Because why not?
Look, we got shit to do. This guy's running the only real church that's going on, man. You gotta chop.
We don't have that cardinal bureaucracy to deal with. We're lean and mean.
So if you remember, Francis believes that he is the only real Catholic church in the world, which now leads him to call himself the only true Catholic bishop.
I mean, good luck telling my Irish grandmother that.
It's probably a hard sell, yeah. So by 1978, membership had grown to the point that their small communities in Idaho weren't enough to house everyone. They'd go to Spokane, Washington, and purchase a former seminary called Mount St. Michael. This would become their official headquarters and home to the movement's nuns and friars. By 1981, Francis had ordained 6 priests, but also had 120 sisters and 60 brothers, and had established missions in Canada, Mexico, Australia, and New Zealand. And if that didn't start raising at least a couple red flags, now's probably the time to tell you that the church had also been buying up a lot of property, to the tune of about $8 million, which today is $25.7 million.
I mean, that's where the money has always been for the church.
Oh, yeah. So you have a highly charismatic leader who wants his followers to believe that he is the only real bishop in the entire world and their only way to get into heaven. Una, what could possibly go wrong? And the answer is lots. The answer is always lots. Now, this point is mostly hearsay, but many of his followers would state that around this time, he began to have people acknowledge him as Pope, but only in private. Allegedly, he took the name Pope Hadrian VII. But like I said, he never made the move to make his papacy public. Another thing he tried to keep quiet, though, is that he's entirely running a cult.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm getting huge Herbalife vibes at this point.
Yeah. So Rosemary Offenhauer, who had become a nun in this church when she was 18 years old, became one of the most prominent speakers against it after she left at the age of 35. In 2005, she spoke on MSNBC about how draconian Francis would be, ensuring that no one was allowed to make their own decisions without him having a say. He would order nuns to never talk to each other at any point and forced people to wait hours or even days for him to offer mass. Lay women were required to wear long dresses and head coverings at all times. Smoking was expressly forbidden. And then there were the accusations of child abuse. Francis seemed to be very fond of the raising up a child method of beat children into subservience and then they'll be better people. And then it gets worse. So in 1984, Francis would bail in the middle of the night with 20 of his closest followers and about 250 grand. He'd resettle in Greenville, California, but the day he left, a member of the church, Dennis Chicoine, had found that Francis had sexually abused at least 4 former seminarians over the past decade.
Oh.
Dennis would preach about what he had found the day that Francis escaped, and Dennis would take over for the church, and Francis would excommunicate him. But at this point, I mean, Dennis is running the church, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, come back with that 25 grand.
The Spokane County Superior Court would also ban Francis from retaking the property. And this probably should have been the end of Francis's story, just kind of being kicked out to California to live with 20 people for the rest of his life. But Dennis had a bit of an axe to grind. In 1967, Dennis would call the local cops and tell them that Francis's home was just full of illegal drugs and guns. A SWAT team would break in, and what they found could be best described as a fuck pile of pills and a normal amount of guns, at least if you're using the bell curve for cults.
Oh my god.
There's like 8 guns. It's like if you have 20 people and 8 guns, I'm not, that's not the Branch Davidians.
Yeah.
That's a
Right.
So he would be arrested for having all those illegal drugs and some unregistered guns. His defense would go into the court and say, look, this guy is consistently sick. I promise you he needs all of those pills. And the court agreed.
There's no checking of like some of these pills could be used to drug people.
That's a great point I didn't think of.
I'm just assuming he's using that to help him sexually assault people.
From what I could tell, he was legitimately that sick. He was just consistently coming down with stuff.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Okay.
So the court accepted a plea deal where he would serve no jail time and pay no fines. All he had to do was attend a 1-day drug course.
That's it?
Mm-hmm. That's it.
And did he at least do that?
It seems like he did, yes.
Oh, okay.
That seemed like the smart move to make. And I think he decided, let's go with
shockingly smart move.
So towards the end of it all, Francis was able to maintain small communities in Oregon and Washington, but membership had fallen to around a few hundred people. In 2006, Bishop Schuttgard/Pope Hadrian VII would die at the age of 69 in Redmond, Washington. But what wouldn't die was a whole other new fringe movement that Francis had kind of accidentally created, but didn't really have the blasphemous balls to do himself. That's the sort of shit reserved for the most radical of the Vatican II malcontents, and they're called conclavists. So the idea behind conclavism is that if you already don't believe the Pope is duly elected, and he also can't be the true leader due to heresy, then the people who elected him are naturally guilty of the same thing. So what you need to do is make a papal conclave of your own.
No, what you need to do is keep going, burn it all down.
Where are we going to keep the gold, Una?
Back to Minerva and Jove, and then realize that was all bullshit. They just stole it from the Greeks, and go to that, and then realize that the Greeks stole it from the Babylons, and keep going.
Can't argue that. I mean, I'm sure people
turtles all the way down, Dusty.
So you wouldn't get your first conclavist until this guy named Chester Olszewski of Eddystone, Pennsylvania came along. Again, I have to give huge props to Professor Lundberg for this because he seems to be the only person to have done a deep dive into Chester's alternative papacy. And the research is great. So Chester was born in Buffalo, New York in 1943 to a very devout Polish Catholic family.
Aww.
At the age of 13, he was sent to the St. Francis Minor Seminary, a prep school for kids who were like, yeah, I'm going to be a preacher. I'm done deciding.
Yeah, priest me up.
It seems like a bad call because I don't think I had a good idea of what I was going to be at 13, or at least not a realistic one. Like, I think I wanted to be an astronaut, but I was bad at science. So Yeah, you're not going to send me to space camp on that.
It is interesting because by like 43, he's like a couple of years older than the baby boom glut. And by that point, it's like, I feel like there is, like, for the seminary, it was just like, it was such, if you could get in, you were going to be literate. And that was huge. And then at a certain point, it was like, no, everyone's going to be literate. Like you do have options.
I always kind of figured like the seminary for minors is something that you save for the fifth son of a baron. Like he's not going to do anything. Just shove him into the church.
There's no land for this kid. So and we already used up our favors for the military with the other two sons. Yeah. So I could use a little pull. So he goes into the minor seminary at 13, and in 1963, when he was 20, he entered the adult seminary in Granby, Massachusetts. For unknown reasons, though, he would drop out in 1966 and join the Marines. He would end up getting a tour in Vietnam and return in 1969, where he got married and had 3 kids. Wow. So,
to my understanding, that makes it impossible to be a priest in the Catholic faith. Is that true, or am I misinterpreting?
Yeah, well, that is a good question. If like you can then, because it's not like if you've had sex, then you're out. That it's not that hard. I mean, they probably wouldn't like the fact that you like. What are you going to divorce your wife so that you can become more?
Oh, you would have to divorce your wife to be a priest.
This is what's confusing, is that it is a vow of celibacy because you're giving your life to God. And in fact, for like nuns and abbeys, there's even a like mock wedding ceremony in some of them because you are becoming a bride to Jesus in a way. But here's the thing, and like, we kind of touched on it with the, 5th or 6th son of a royal family, is there's nothing in the Bible that says you have to be celibate. And in fact, like the Orthodox Church, the patriarchs, they absolutely have families. And it was because the priests were allowed to have families, and then by right of inheritance, like their first, second born would end up getting land, and the church realizes like, no, that's our land. You can't divvy that up. And like they kind of cut it off at the knees and just said, you know what? No kids at all. Done.
Oh, so it's more just a practical decision than like a biblical one.
Right. But then in terms of like Vatican II and the changes that need to be made, like one of the biggest problems is this vow of celibacy that you can't be married and be a priest, and you can't have kids and be a priest. Not that it stops them, but the whole point is like, if you want to bring people in, that's like the land issue is not an issue anymore. That's not how we like inheritance don't occur that way anymore. So that's my rant. But I don't know if I don't think he would be able to become a priest if he already had a family.
Well, lucky for us, Chester is not going to be a priest. He decided he wants to be a deacon, which not entirely sure what deacons do in the grand scheme of things.
But within the Catholic Church, or is that I always understood that to be like a Protestant thing.
Well, that's the thing.
Oh no.
So, he's finishing up his Bachelor of the Arts. He's going to be a deacon because part of the problem was he couldn't find anyone in the Catholic Church who was willing to give him a job, or a job that he could do as like a married dude with kids who wasn't going to divorce his wife. So he kind of switched over to being an Episcopalian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he's working on finishing up his Bachelor of the Arts. He's going to be a deacon in the Episcopalian Church, and he's working as a janitor and security guard to make ends meet. And the thing though is like, you still need a letter of recommendation from the parish to enter the education program to become a deacon, and no one would sponsor him.
No one? They wouldn't take a war veteran?
I think they might have been a little antsy that like a month ago he was a Catholic, and now suddenly he wants to be an Episcopalian and a deacon. He wants to fast track this shit.
Like, don't my credits count?
Yeah, it's Catholic Church is accredited. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
I should be a junior. I took AP courses.
Yes, you beat me fucking like, God damn it. You should have seen my fucking essay. It was great. But lucky for Chester, he had a friend who was like, hey, I can get you into a deacon program at McGill University in Montreal. Yeah. And eventually that program could actually lead you to the priesthood if that's what you want to do. And so he went full hard into that, deciding, I'm going to go full Protestant. I'm going to be a priest in the Episcopalian Church, and this is going to be great. And you know what they say? Once you go Protestant, you feel a lot less guilty if you accidentally sleep in on Sunday. So he goes
feel a lot cooler about making hard cash. Let's do this.
So Chester goes up to Montreal, begins his studies at McGill, but despite the school's conservative reputation, he found them to be too liberal for his liking. He bailed 1 year into the 3-year program due to this.
Oh my God.
His teachers also felt like they had to write the local bishop in Montreal to be like, hey, this guy has no interest in learning Episcopalian theology, and he is never going to be suited for the priesthood. So if he comes back, do not let him in.
Wow. Mugshots and pictures on the entrances.
do not accept checks from this man.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is probably a good read on the dude, but he somehow was able to get into another school, the Philadelphia Divinity School. And after 1 year of study, Chester would be named a deacon in 1974. And the next year, Chester was ordained an Episcopal priest and assigned to a church in Eddystone, Pennsylvania.
All right. Big D. Let's do this.
So the funny thing is the bishop who allowed him to be a priest did not look into his background and ordained him entirely on the word of someone that he knew in Albany.
So that priest was acting like every other police department in Ohio, taking in a guy who had previously been a cop and now was just had to move to this new city and also wanted to be a cop. No biggie.
Look, man, we all get skeletons. I don't know what the big deal is. So he ends up being named the priest of St. Luke's Church in Eddystone, Pennsylvania. And nearly immediately, he proved everyone in Montreal 100% right. He ditched every Episcopalian teaching that he had been taught for the past year and made everything very Roman Catholic-esque.
Oh no, he's a sneaky Catholic.
He's a sneaky snake, just hopping in there. Just like, you're Catholic, bitches, deal with it.
Yeah, I'm going to make you feel bad about yourselves.
And then repeat after me, Una. It gets worse.
Oh no.
So in the community, there's this woman named Anne Poor, and she was a registered nurse and very devout Catholic. However, since she had been divorced and remarried, no local church would give her communion. She had been denied communion for 20 years. So she just built her own chapel in her own home. From what I read, it was a very small home to begin with, so it's like a cupboard of a chapel, and just loaded it full of religious iconography.
Hell yeah, girl.
One such item that was in there was a little over 2 foot tall statue of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Now, Una, I'm a dummy. And I was like, oh, a statue of a heart? That's metal. And then I realized, no, that's just the name of a specific Jesus statue.
Oh, is it the one where his actual heart has like a ring of thorns, a crown of thorns around it?
Yeah, it's like a red robe and he's like doing the
blessing
shrug. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've like when you see it, you know what it is.
Yeah. You mean the paintings in all the homes of my great aunts and uncles?
Yeah, it's that one. It was a gift that had been given to her by a friend. It was made by a company in New Jersey.
Again, pause for light patina over clearly paganist actions. I'm just this is what I come back again and again for.
But Una, this isn't just any statue of Jesus. This thing bleeds, man.
So hardcore.
And not just any bleeding. This little Jesus has the markings of the stigmata. Now, for those of you who haven't seen the 1999 horror thriller of the same name starring Patricia Arquette and Gabriel Byrne, the stigmata are wounds that Jesus received during the crucifixion. So these injuries include the hands and the feet where Jesus was nailed to the cross, wounds across the forehead where the crown of thorns was placed, and wounds across the back, which was where whipping occurred, and injuries that were incurred from carrying the cross. They aren't self-inflicted, but paranormal probably isn't the right word for it either, but it's the one that I felt like came closest, so here we are.
I think it's important to put it in those terms because otherwise we give it way too much sanctity of just like, no, it is this thing that is different and holier. It's like, dude, no, it's just weird paranormal shit. Like, can we not?
Yeah. So the over-encompassing thing is it happens without people doing it to themselves and no one can explain why. But science has a few theories. So I didn't know that the first person to get the stigmata, St. Francis of Assisi.
Him, really?
Yeah, Catholic Dr. Dolittle, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. The Birdman.
Yeah, he's one of the chillest seeming saints. And you're going to give that guy stigmata? What's wrong with you?
Everything. It's the Catholic Church, Dusty.
So, you know, it kind of goes off from there. So scientific theories are that the stigmata was the result of injuries either incurred during epileptic fits, moments of hysteria, dissociative identity disorder. But the thing that I find most compelling is that it's the result of anorexia nervosa.
Ooh. And if you're fasting a lot.
There's a lot of fasting. The diets are extraordinarily restrictive, which can lead to a lot of moments of dissociation and hysteria and doing things that you don't recognize that you're doing. And so these injuries are pretty common with injuries that you could see from people suffering from anorexia nervosa.
Yeah. Nailed it.
But it's a statue getting it this time, Una. So fucking explain that science. Was the statue not eating enough? Does it need more carbs? What do you want? So either way, I don't know why I'm yelling at you. So either way, word spread about Anne's statue, and before long, hundreds of people were coming to her porch to view the statue, pray, and to seek cures.
Wait, whoa, time out. I thought she bought this dumb plastic tchotchke that like you plug into the wall and it creates stigmata.
No.
Like you have to refill it with some colored corn syrup.
Look, Una, I'm not telling you that is the most blasphemous and amazing idea for a product I've ever heard. No,
this is going on the Patreon.
No, this was like a cheap gift that a friend bought for her at like a corner store that was made in New Jersey out of the crappiest materials you could find.
Oh my God. And it had stigmata.
It did not have action grip. It just started bleeding.
Thank you.
So people are going to her porch where she moved it so people could see it, pray to it, and use the blood for cures. And this is where the Archdiocese of Philadelphia stepped in. So typically what the Catholic Church is going to do when this sort of thing happens is they want to see if it's real. 99 times out of 100, they're not going to say it's fake unless it's entirely obvious. The general thing
they would have to own up to it all being fake.
Well, the general thing that they want to do is like, you can go see it, but very much like a Virgin Mary beneath an underpass, people are going to become less interested over time and you're going to have to worry about it a lot less. So that's typically the route they go, but they at least want to go and check it out to see if they can't just outright say, this is a fraud, don't go here. So they show up to Mary's house and she was like, darn it. Actually, I just got a memo from the Virgin Mary saying you guys can't do that. But look, she's leaving the option open, change her mind. And I'll let you know if she does. It might be, 20 years worth of block communion long.
Yes.
But,
get Eddie.
We'll see. So yeah, and the church was just like, all right, we're just going to go the old route. We're not going to ban people. We'll wait for this to fizzle out. So instead of things dying down, Anne started getting the stigmata herself, as well as constant messages from Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, who, look, I'm going to go on a wild tangent here. What'd Joseph do after birth?
He managed to be a really great stepdad. He was present. No one talks about the soccer games.
That's true. I imagine he pulled a lot of long hours at the office that just don't make for good biblical quotes.
Yes.
And then the files were sorted. Yay. And
yay.
We're pleased. So she's getting messages from the entire fucking family. And here's where priest Chester Olszewski shows up. He went to go visit Anne, initially very skeptical of all of this, but too curious to stay away. But only after a brief meeting, he became convinced that everything that was happening was a divine miracle. And part of this might have been that when Anne saw Chester, she told him she immediately knew who he was because she had a vision when she was 15 of seeing him.
Wow.
Also, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph have a message, and it's that you need to be my spiritual advisor from here on out.
Yeah, let's priest you up.
So Chester, he's playing it kind of cool. He's like, I need a little time. I need a little bit of time to see if this is real. You're very nice. You're playing very well to my ego, but I need a sign. I at least need something direct from them to me instead of from them to you to me. So a month passes, and one day Anne comes by St. Luke's to visit Chester, and she comes with a bouquet of flowers. But it's not just any bouquet of flowers, Luna. They came from the Virgin Mary. And she's not shopping at Tops. She is bringing those flowers from heaven.
Ooh, heaven flowers.
And Anne tells Chester, if you don't believe me, smell them. And he states the smell is so ethereal, a smell that he had never smelled in his life, so heavenly that clearly this bouquet of flowers literally came from the Virgin Mary.
Oh my God, it's just lilies. Like, it's just what happens when you don't put in so much baby's breath.
It is a crime that the florist who made that did not get credit because goddamn, it sounds like a great bouquet. Like that person should be in business till the end of time if they made
a Yelp review from Mary at least.
Right? It's just like, I don't know how you made Tiger Lily smell that good, but goddamn, you are going to be catering. I don't know, you're dressing up weddings for the rest of time.
Yeah.
It'd be really funny if there was just the first American to discover orchids.
Right. Like a really nice orchid.
Yeah. Just everyone's doing roses and baby's breath. And they're like, I have a secret weapon here. I brought it with me from other places.
It's called a corsage.
Oh my God. It's all the rage in New York.
Oh my God.
So from that moment on, Chester took that as a sign, and he would be Anne's spiritual advisor in trade for Anne passing to Chester every celestial message that she got from the heavenly family. Plus, the stigmata statue, which Anne had actually been really disappointed none of the local Catholic churches wanted, would be moved to St. Luke's and be placed above the altar, like on chains high above. And every Friday, it dripped blood.
Wait, at the Episcopal Church?
Yep.
Hilarious. Oh, sorry, Episcopalians.
Yeah, it's George Washington would be very mad. Weird fact, George Washington, Episcopalian.
Really?
Yep, yeah. Probably a deist, but, Episcopalian every Sunday. So, yeah, your instincts were right. This was a bit much for the longtime Episcopalians who'd been going there, and they started leaving in droves. But making up for them leaving were all of these tourists and people from around the world who wanted to be close to this miracle. And they were able to balance out the Episcopalians who had left. So now Chester has an entire congregation where this statue of Jesus is the centerpiece of his teachings.
Don't pray for the job you have, pray for the job you want.
Look, you just have to find someone bleeding for you.
Oh my God. Is he like charging admission or anything? Because I just want to know, how is he bringing in an income? What is his family doing?
Well, we can kind of answer that in a little bit because I actually kind of believe he wasn't taking money for this. Some of the events of his later life, I think, lead to back this up because he's not really buying a lot of stuff. He's not buying fancy cars. He's just
right,
kind of drunk on this power that has fallen into his lap. So, all the Episcopalians have left, which makes it all the easier to transform St. Luke's from an Episcopalian church to that of a true pre-Vatican II Roman Catholic faith.
Oh, yeah.
And if he's the only person teaching the true faith, I mean, he might as well be Pope then, right?
I mean, how is he not already?
I know, right? So in 1976, he would find someone to proclaim him bishop. And in 1977, he made the claim that a conclave made solely of Jesus Christ came to him in a vision, consecrated him, and gave him the name of Pope Ezekiel Elias. And yes, that is a portmanteau of Christ and Ezekiel.
That's so terrible.
Ezekiel.
It sounds like weird Hobbit speak. Like it sounds like YA fantasy novel names.
Mm-hmm. Can you believe he was the first person to take that name? Because it just flows off the tongue. I think that was actually the first time I've ever actually pronounced it right throughout all the practicing I've done.
Because there are no Ezekiels in the Catholic Church. That's a Protestant thing.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I mean, it just feels like it. I thought he was
never one of the prophets in the Bible.
Sure, but I feel like certain sects end up kind of owning, in a sense, certain name demographics within the Bible. I feel like the Protestants went hard for those Old Testament names, your Ezekiels and your Jebediahs and all that stuff. Whereas with the Catholics, you're gonna have Mark, Matthew, Luke, Michael. Which
makes sense. I mean, if the church is birthed directly from those people, that does make a lot of sense.
So there you go.
So to coronate this wonderful event, he would surprise his congregation with a 3-hour ceremony at St. Luke's.
Truly Catholic of him.
Lundberg would note that this was not a spontaneous sort of thing. He didn't just find out from Jesus, hey, you're the Pope. Congratulations. Because the vestments that he wore, he ordered at least a year ahead of time.
Wow, sir.
Yeah. And it's here that he dropped the other bombshell. I'm the Pope, and the end times are really, really close.
Zeke, what are you doing?
To be specific, they're 3 years away. So that means I'm going to not just be your Pope, but the last Pope. When the bishop that promoted him from priesthood to bishopdom found out about all this, he stated, I have made a grave error, and I have to live with this for the rest of my life. No one should go to this man's church.
Oh, boy.
So the Episcopalian Church weren't fond of this. They weren't fond of this beforehand, but now we're just very motivated. So in 1978, after a very brief trial, he was defrocked. To which Ezekiel stated, it doesn't matter. It's a miracle. I am a priest. But was he, though? According to reports, his initial congregation when he made himself Pope was around 50 families. But between then and his defrocking, he'd excommunicated all but 15 to 20 people.
What?
He was very worried that everyone was plotting against him, and so he just excommunicated people to keep the true believers.
Oh, no.
Also, the Episcopal Church had a second issue. They couldn't kick him out of the church because he had used squatters' rights. He had been living at St. Luke's this whole time, and now they had to go in trial to try to evict him.
Oh.
But this leads me to believe that he was not taking money, that living at this church was the whole plan.
Yeah.
And maybe he spent all of his money on his new vestments, and that was it.
Yeah.
So while the congregation was very small at this point, he was able to ordain 3 priests, which were 9 short than he wanted. He wanted 12 priests to match the apostles, but
then don't excommunicate everyone.
Well, then quit trying to formulate destruction behind his back, in his brain.
In his mind, yeah.
He's the Pope. He should know if people are doing this. But he also made Anne a full tilt nun in this church. She would take the name Sister Della Maria Consolata of the Order of the Sisters of the Sorrowful Family.
Oh boy. Okay, Anne. Blink twice.
I will say this. The Catholic Church has a brevity issue when it comes to naming things sometimes.
Oh, but it's so great.
It works for the Pope because it's very definitive as to what each is. But some of these names sound like Mad Libs.
Oh, I love them. And I love them especially for like various Mother Superiors and orders of nunneries.
We're going to get to one later, which was completely made up by a guy. And I think it might be I don't know if it was a troll or something he seriously meant, but we'll get there. So it's around this time after Anne becomes a nun that she also begins to extend her powers beyond just talking to Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Now she can read people's hearts, and she can also bilocate, which means that she can be in multiple places at once.
Yes.
It's not quite astral projection, but...
No, just because they didn't have the name for it. But yeah. No,
she wasn't reading Philip K. Dick.
Oh, I mean, listen, she's absolutely astral projecting and looking at people's chakras. It's just a different word.
Not to be outdone, suddenly Ezekiel was able to do both of these things as well.
Yeah, I'm fucking Ezekiel. What do you want?
So things kept getting worse. By 1979, things were very much off the rails. For one, Ezekiel changed his papal name. He decided instead to call himself Pope Peter II, which from what I understand is a name reserved in the Catholic Church for the final pope during the end of days.
Yep. So big brass balls.
Yeah, it seems like it's a choice. It's somehow worse than Ezekiel.
It really, I mean, he should get rid of Ezekiel because that should be a name for a trap rapper out of Atlanta.
Like, I've barely been kicked off SoundCloud a couple of times.
Yes.
I do really love the symmetry of starting with a Peter and ending with a Peter, and like no one mucking that up in the thousands of years the church has been around. It's, it's small nice. Respect to that. Yeah. It's good planning.
It's a cute tradition.
Also, I mean, it does give me hope that as long as there's not a Peter II as Pope, right. They're like, oh, what do you know that I don't? What?
Right. Yeah, if it's a pious, it's just going to fuck it up, but fine.
But if it's a Peter, you got to buy yourself a bunker, man. You got to get some of that like government cheese that lasts forever.
Yeah, stock up on water.
Oh, also now God wants him to smash the stigmata statue that they've been worshiping all this time.
Because it's a false idol?
I mean, not a bad point. Which he ends up doing during a half fully attended mass. There's like about 30 people there. He gets the statue, wraps it in a cloth, throws it on the ground, shatters into 3 bits. Supposedly the head keeps bleeding.
Amazing.
So, which either indicates that this statue was full of blood or is a very good system that was rigged up to make it look like it was bleeding and you just keep the blood in the head.
Which is what I thought, okay, it's fine.
Some guy in Jersey is like, what, you want me to make you a blasphemous statue? Does whatever? Sure, whatever. Just pay me.
You turn it on and it's like a little cheap indoor water fountain. It's like a little bubbler.
I'm going to hell, but someone's got to pay union dues. I'm not here to cut corners. Tony makes good work.
I think we have a patent on our hands, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, if the mob shows up mad at us for making this, then I think we might have to back off. And after shattering the statue, he makes a proclamation that this is a harbinger of an apocalyptic earthquake that will hit the Philadelphia area in 1980 and throw people off their couches. Really get people's attention. So one earthquake did kind of happen in 1980. It's that he officially got evicted.
Oh.
The county judge ruled for the Episcopalian Church, and an agreement was made that Chester Ezekiel Peter and his family, his wife and kids are still living with him in the church at this time, would be allowed to stay until Easter, and then they gotta go, which they did, but only after Peter wrecked a stained glass window on the way out.
Oh my God.
And also, since, you're going to do a dick move, I'll be an asshole too. Why not? So looking at all the earthquakes that happened in 1980, the biggest in America that year was off the coast of California near Eureka, which resulted in some windows breaking and a chimney falling down, but no deaths. So nowhere near Philadelphia, my dude. Of the 7 earthquakes that resulted in deaths, none of them happened in America. The worst one was in Algeria. Not even fucking close, Peter.
Wow.
So, Also, I'd like to note this is now 4 years after his proclamation that the end of days were going to happen.
That's why you never set a date.
Right. That is cult 101. You never set a date for the end of times. You just keep leaving it out there. You know, you just push it further off in the middle of the night when no one's looking.
Signs are telling me.
Like we're just we're working together to push it just a little bit farther. It's coming, but it's just not here yet.
You just got to pay me more and work harder.
Exactly. So after getting kicked out, Pope Peter was able to keep a small group together. By 1983, he bought a row home 2 blocks away from St. Luke's, which I'm sure they were not very happy about, and turned it into a thrift shop and small monastery. Membership never really grew beyond the few that remained, and they just kind of existed. I'm going to make the guess around this point that Peter was wavering in his feeling of strength, but to make things worse, Anne Poole would end up passing in 1992 at the age of 65, and Chester immediately made her a saint.
Well, yeah. Also,
yeah.
65, so young.
So in 1997, Chester would suddenly abandon the few members that remained in Eddystone and moved to Bradford, Pennsylvania. Turns out he was kind of chasing another reported miracle at a different church. Reportedly, at this church in Bradford, an organist and someone else saw a light refraction on the wall that was a depiction of heaven, I believe. It was just like a vision of God that appeared on the wall of this church. A number of experts would hop by from the church and note very, very quickly, no, this didn't happen. It's debunked. The priest of the church, though, would be very adamant, like, you're full of shit, you're wrong, and I'm going to keep telling people that's what happened. So the church went to move to kick this guy out, but before they could kick him out, he passed the church on to someone else. He gave it to Chester. And I'm only using the word Chester because by this point, he was no longer calling himself Pope.
Oh no, did he excommunicate himself?
I don't really know. He did change his name to Christian Elias, so it's kind of like Ezekiel, but a little more acceptable.
Is it, Dusty?
No, it's not. It's great if you want to trick the normies, I guess.
Like, why not just call yourself Creaster at this point?
He would end up leading a very small group of parishioners because once again, everyone who had been going there got freaked out by him and left, and renamed the church the Holy Family Catholic Church. Chester was at least giving Latin Mass there up until 2005, but nowadays the building seems to be completely empty, and Professor Lundberg has no idea what happened to Chester after this. He might be dead, he might be retired, but he's just gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
That's America's first antipope right there.
Well, yeah, that is genuinely so. R.I.P. Rest in power, Peter Dose.
We got more though, because you think America's just going to do one antipope? Fuck you. We shoot for the fucking stars here in America because our flag's made of stars. So David Bawden is our next alternative pope, and he's one of the
pope.
And he's one of the most too well known. By that I mean he has a Wikipedia page.
Oh no.
So David was born in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma in 1959. Much like Chester, David was also born into a deeply Catholic family and would attempt to enter the seminary. So initially he'd go to the seminary run by the Society of St. Pius X in Switzerland, but very quickly was transferred to their seminary in Armada, Michigan. This seems to be a bit because just like Chester at McGill University, the SSPX was just too damn un-Catholic for David. The Michigan Seminary would dismiss him in 1978, but after an appeal, he was allowed back in. In 1980, he decided to leave again and take a job at the St. Mary's Academy and College in Kansas. But once again, not Catholic enough. They're not fucking doing it. So in 1981, he quits. And since the college was being run by the Society of St. Pius X, not only did David quit the college, but he left the society as well. The thing, though, is David really wants to be a priest. And he did just burn a very, very big bridge that could have let him get there. So he needs to find a traditionalist outside of the SSPX that would ordain him. The thing, though, is if you burn that many bridges that quickly, no one's going to say yes. And he was not able to find anyone who would ordain him as a priest. So he ends up spending this time devoting himself to lay studies and looking into whether traditionalists even need licensing or approval to attain priesthood.
Yeah, because fuck your rules.
Yeah, look, if you're not going to let me be a priest, I will find a loophole that I can believe myself. By 1987, he would come up with his ultimate theory. His theory is that since he believed there hadn't been a true pope elected since 1958, and that the group of current cardinals could not be entrusted to elect a true pope, then it was necessary for a conclave that included lay people to truly pick a just and proper pope. And while, Chester was just like, Jesus told me, what are you going to do? David's playing more by the rules. He's like, I have to at least find people. I have to get a group together to pick a pope, and we'll go from there. And that pope can then ordain me as a priest.
Yeah, if a popifies in the woods and no one's around to hear his service, is he truly pope?
God damn it. I mean, it's at least 3 hours, so probably.
Yeah.
So in 1990, he would publish Will the Catholic Church Survive the 20th Century? A book I did not try to find, but was his big call as to why there should be a conclave of independent individuals. He would pack this book up and send it to every sedevacantist organization that he could think of. He reportedly also contacted people at the Vatican. He contacted people who were still members of the Roman Catholic Church. He sent invitations in this book out to everyone, calling for a conclave to happen. And a conclave would occur January 16th, 1990 in Bellevue, Kansas. And out of the hundreds of people that he had invited, 6 showed up. Included in this 6 were David, his parents, and the woman who co-wrote his call to action. And with numbers like that, you better fucking win. Which he, of course, did.
Okay, good.
And in the midst of this former thrift shop, David would accept and took the name Pope Michael I. Now, Michael does admit that the reason more people didn't arrive was purely because of the 200 packages he sent. Most, if not all, were completely ignored.
Oh.
He says this on his website.
Oh.
So a few sedevacanist groups would also object to the election of Michael. But look, God's going to do what he has to do. And if you don't want Pope Mike, then you probably should have shown up. So pack sand, I guess. In 1993, Michael would relocate to Delia, Kansas, and declare this the new home of the Vatican in Exile. And this is also around the time that the Vatican in Exile website would be created.
This is so bold.
The website itself does have moments of being very brutal to Mike himself, such as the frequently asked questions section, including a question as to why no one in the sedevacanist movement follows Michael.
Okay, I feel like this guy is the one true Catholic.
He's definitely the person that I felt the most pity towards during this whole thing.
Yeah.
And then you get to the more sad section, such as a piece written this year, wondering why no one comes to hear the word of God from Pope Michael.
Oh my God. Subheading, is anyone coming to my birthday?
Yeah, it's that question. If Pope Michael gives mass and no one's there to hear it, but the answer is God heard it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel like if we are going to presuppose the existence of a Catholic God in a post-Vatican II world, that does create the level of kindness to at least show up.
I'm still hung up on the fact that there has never been a Pope Michael.
Right? I don't know why no one's picked it. It does show a level of cleverness I appreciate. But yeah, it is really bizarre no one took that name yet.
Yeah, it's like how many Urbans? How many Piuses? A handful of Benedicts?
There was like a Calixtus.
Yeah.
A lot of weird options.
No Michael.
Yeah, until fucking Michael I, man, the one true pope. So the second question probably has an easy answer as to why no one comes to hear the word of God from Pope Michael. And that's because he wasn't able to find anyone to ordain him as a priest until 2011.
Oh,
yeah. Kind of a qualification you should have gotten squared away, but
he's driving Pope with only a permit.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine when you declare yourself Pope to the disagreement of the entire sedevacanist movement, you're going to have a hard time finding someone to make you a priest, let alone a bishop.
But you're also dealing with people who by nature don't believe in current Pope.
Mm-hmm.
So it just feels like you will have better luck keeping the Communist Party intact than you will agreeing on a true Pope with these people.
Very, very, very astute. Yes. So, one upside though is that a year before he was made an official priest, there was a documentary made about him called Pope Michael. It's pretty good. It's about him trying to train a group of 18-year-olds to be new priests. I don't think it works out.
Oh my goodness.
And that being said, the high point of his fellowship appears to be around 2009, when Pope Michael estimated he has about 30 solid followers.
Okay, 30 is nice. We're getting very much into like very, very early Christianity, methods at this point.
It was the average audience that Pope Ezekiel had. So, not terrible. And look, to end this on a sadder note, because Pope Michael has lived a life of pretty much no controversy. He moved to Topeka at one point. So Topeka, Kansas is now the Holy See for his group. He doesn't really cause a lot of controversy or anything. He's just very strong about Vatican II being bullshit but isn't really a jerk about it. He's just
wow.
Michael. But to end on a sad note, just this last week, Michael was rushed to the hospital for emergency brain surgery. Blood was found on his brain, so they had to act really, really quickly. As of July 10th, his only priest noted that he is awake, somewhat groggy, but quote, not even close to being out of the woods.
Oh.
And look, for being the first alternative pope to not go mad with power, honestly, genuine thoughts and prayers to Pope Michael. I hope he's doing okay.
If at any time it's appropriate to say thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, like even Robert Evans of Behind the Bastards was like, look, we're going to keep eyes on this. Send your thoughts.
We're going to We're going to be really good and not make a stigmata joke.
Yes.
I'm going to light a votive candle instead.
Yeah. So look, I wish I could go deep into the other remaining popes, but this is going to be a 3-parter. So help me, Pope Michael. I am not going to do that. So I'm going to go through 2 here really, really quick and end on a real banger. So there's the anti-pope, alternative pope that we know barely anything about. His name is Ronaldus Michael Benjamins. He had previously declared himself Brother Raymond of the Trinity while he lived in Malone, New York. The only reason we know about this guy is there was a dude in the Catholic Church who was tracking alternative popes for fun, but didn't really go much beyond that. He would end up declaring himself Pope Gregory the 19th in 2001 and then just disappeared.
That tracker dude, I feel like that needs to be a fun kind of like Robert and Michelle King CBS
show. My God, yes.
It's like everyone's always talking about The Exorcist. No one talks about the one guy looking to hunt down alternative popes.
Mike Coulter is the anti-pope. Yeah. I'd watch it, man.
Yeah.
And then there's Lucian Pulvermacher, who is quite honestly the other famous alternative pope that we've had. But I mean, his life is about as chaos free as Michael's, so there's not really a whole lot to talk about. So I'm just going to go through it real quick. He was born in Bakeville, Wisconsin in 1918. He joined the Capuchin Order of Monks, just like his other 3 brothers did.
Wow.
He gets ordained as a priest with very little drama in 1946. He serves as a missionary in Japan for 22 years and then does a stint of missionary work in Australia for another 6, and then leaves right after Vatican II for sunny Milwaukee. He also leaves the Capuchin Order at this time as well. He tries joining the Society of St. Pius X, but just like Michael, found him too liberal for his liking. He moves in with his parents in Pittsville, Wisconsin, spends 2 decades giving traditional mass in independent churches, which, doing the road circuit, just like everyone else. And in 1995, he decides to become a conclavist. He calls his conclave in Kalispell, Montana, gets elected, and takes the name Pope Pius XIII. Oh no.
No, not a Pius.
He starts the true Catholic Church with a lowercase t at the beginning, which feels very 2000s.
Yeah, what is he going to Der Club afterwards too?
his lead preacher skills with a Z. So he moves the Holy See to Springdale, Washington, where he gains a tiny following that includes his most devout follower, his mom. She remained his most devout follower until she died at the age of 104.
Holy crow.
Yeah. In 2005, he pulls back from public speaking, mainly because at this time he starts to get dementia.
Oh.
And it's also at this time that he ends up excommunicating most of his longtime high-ranking followers.
Rude.
Well, look, if I'm viewing this as a traditionalist Catholic, they made a good point, because at this time he starts using a pendulum to practice divination, which, if you ask some hardline Catholics, that there's a witchcraft, and that's an excommunication.
Oh yeah. Well, again, the patina under which is just a bunch of pagan nonsense. Catholics.
And look, it might have been the dementia, like doing it and all of that, or convincing him was like, oh, I can read things using a pendulum, and just like the slow deterioration. But it's kind of how his church ended, is just excommunicating a lot of people and then going into his few remaining followers, ensuring that he didn't make any public speeches or proclamations, and just protecting him during the most vulnerable portion of his life.
Oh.
So in 2009, Pope Pius would pass. His followers considered having another conclave in 2017, but nothing came of it. So that's Pope Pius XIII, which leaves us with our last guy.
All right.
The most recent attempt at alternative popedom on this list, Chicago's own Brian Richard Clayton.
Oh my God, what?
And look, the only reason I'm calling him Chicago's own is he was born here. He did not live the majority of his life in Chicago, but I want to claim it.
Yeah, damn it. I want an anti-pope here.
And Brian is a wild card.
Ooh.
That's why I save him for last. So there's pretty much next to nothing out there about Brian's pre-pope career. Magnus Lundberg was able to find that he was born in 1975 in Chicago, and then as an adult he worked as a cop and then a security guard, which has a lot of context clues.
There's a lot being unsaid there.
So following his cop to security guard career path, he ends up attending a seminary that had been started by Bishop Francis, the dude who ran his Catholic cult, in Omaha, Nebraska. And it was here in 2005 that he was ordained a priest. And around 2007, Brian decides he's going to speed run this as quickly as he can. So if he's going to be pope, he's got to be a bishop at some point. And it seems like the error that everyone else made is they were relying on trying to find one person. Brian's going to ask everyone and then just have them all ordain him as a bishop. So he was able to find a guy who was the head of the Society of the Virgin Mary in Beckley, West Virginia, who ordained him as a bishop. And then he followed this up by being ordained a bishop by various other Catholic lineages, including Russian, Ukrainian, Ethiopian, and Greek Orthodox.
What? No, isn't this like a double negative? Like,
I was wondering, I wrote the exact same thing. I don't know if this is a double negative. I don't know which bishop title takes precedence. But yeah, the dude took the Pokemon route to just stack his resume as big as he could. In 2009, he was making his presence known in the traditionalist world. He began signing pastoral letters as the Commissary Apostolic of Saints Peter and Paul, and as the leader of the Order of Friars Minor of the Original Observance. Now, both groups seem to have been completely made up by him on the spot.
Love it. We love a powerful resume.
And my personal favorite, he did start a nonprofit called the Crusaders of the Most Holy Face. And he did this in West Roxbury, Massachusetts. And based on my research, the group both stood for and did nothing.
It charged into Brookline and took over a Panera.
His face is great. Look at it. I imagine it had something that's like kind of related to like the Shroud of Turin or something like that. But
fuck if I know. Sure, why not?
I had to make a guess. But yeah, it's essentially he spends 2009 just padding up his resume with fake organizations. And he temporarily was attached to a chapel in Boston, but Professor Lundberg leans towards him probably getting kicked the fuck out and forced to leave town.
Yikes.
From there, he performed exorcisms across the country and ended up in Spokane, Washington.
There we go. The ley lines.
Upon arrival, Brian continues his papal speed run by calling for an independent conclave. The thing, though, is Brian isn't like other conclaves. While they all think the last legit pope was Pope Pius XII, he thinks they're way off. He thinks the last legit pope was actually Pope Leo XIII back in 1903. So suck on that, heresy truthers. Brian knows what's up. He's like a 6-time bishop. He should know.
He's a Pope hipster. It's like, oh, you were listening to Pope Pius XII?
Oh, man, you need to listen to some of this Ted Leo XIII, man. This is the real shit right there.
I mean, it's fine if you're not like into deep cuts or whatever.
Like, look, I could give you some good popes to listen to, man. Really educate you on liturgy if you want. So in 2011, Brian would get his conclave together, and his conclave was about 15 men. So the biggest we've had so far.
Yeah, doing numbers.
They were told that in order to vote, they had to take an oath to Brian's interpretation of what the true Catholic faith really was. And only 9 would do that. So the other 6 just dipped. The ballots were opened on Christmas Eve, and when you know, Brian won unanimously.
Look at that.
He took the name Pope Athanasius, who was an Egyptian bishop and like one of the big fathers of the Eastern Orthodox Church. But it didn't just take the name. He took the title of the Holy Apostolic Universal and Catholic Church. And unlike other alt popes, Athanasius would choose the regalia of Eastern Orthodox pontiffs. So instead of like the white getup, he's like full black, flatter hat.
Yeah. So it just sounds like he wants to be Orthodox and not Roman.
You know what? You're actually about to get hit with a twist.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Because in 2012, he accidentally excommunicated himself.
Don't you hate that?
It's the worst. You're getting ready for work, you get in the shower, you're cooking some eggs, then all of a sudden you accidentally excommunicate yourself. It's the worst. So you know how conclavists instead of vacanists are really big into mass being done in Latin?
Yeah.
Well, now that Brian's Pope, he thinks that what you should really give mass in is Hebrew.
He's a Pope hipster. He's a pipster.
And look, I would give him credit if he's like, look, what we really need to be doing, man, is to be given mass in Aramaic. But no one speaks Aramaic, so we're just going to do Hebrew. It's the closest we can get to, man, is what we're going to fucking do. But when you look at his website, it is a bold-faced attempt to convert as many Jews as he possibly can to his version of the Catholic faith.
No, we are not doing Jews for Jesus, sir.
Yeah. He rebranded his church the Hasidian Catholic Church, put Jewish conversion front and center on the website, and never updated it again.
That's a yikes.
It seems like this move to switch from Latin to Hebrew pissed off all 9 people who supported him. And his church just disappears from the ether. By 2018, his former followers considered doing another conclave, but once again, they didn't actually end up doing it. By 2019, the church website was down, and Brian Richard Clayton is nowhere to be found online. So I would love to know what he's up to now, because that is a bug fuck decade.
probably learning Aramaic if he knows what's
look,
good for him.
If you really want to start a Catholic cult, I think that is the smartest thing to do. Like Aramaic Mass, I don't know if it'd be better, but it's a choice.
It's different.
And you know what's so buck wild about all of this is that one of these attempts at becoming a post-Vatican II alt pope actually worked. The Palmarian Christian Church in El Palmar de Troya, Spain, began in 1978. Clemente Dominguez y Gomez had never been a bishop or a priest, but gained fame in the region after claims of seeing and speaking to the Virgin Mary. He stated that the Virgin called progressivism complete heresy. The Catholic Church would not just, avoid confirming this and just being like, it'll die itself out eventually. Yeah. They outright stated, we highly doubt that this happened. So not a complete refutation, but I think it's the science of saying 99% certainty when things are absolutely 100%. I feel like we highly doubt this happened is their way of saying, fuck off with your bullshit. This didn't happen.
Yep.
Come on, Clem. We both know. So in 1975, Clemente started his own religious order, was ordained a bishop by a Sedevacanist bishop, and was quickly excommunicated by the Roman Catholic Church. In 1976, he would end up in a car accident and lose both of his eyes. But during this time in recovery, he received a vision from Jesus, who told him that when Pope Paul VI dies, I want you to be next in line to be Pope. And in 1978, when Paul died and he wasn't elected, he decided to declare himself Pope Gregory the 17th and started his own church.
All right, yeah.
Which became known as the Palmarian Christian Church. And look, when I say church, it's a cult. It's 100% a cult.
Oh, no.
Members are banned from watching movies or television, reading newspapers, talking to people who aren't members of the church, and voting.
Yikes.
Greg also took it upon himself to edit the crap out of the Bible, which is the one part of Revelations I remember very well that you're not supposed to do. But hey, it's cool because in 1997, the prophet Elijah told him that the Bible was inaccurate thanks to a mix of, let's see what terrible reason, the Jews and Masons fucked it up.
No.
So he went in, edited the Bible into 5 volumes and 2 children's versions, and that's the Bible they use.
Oh.
And just an extra shitty cherry on top, he had Francisco Franco sainted.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's an anti-pope.
Yeah, if we're using anti in the same way we use Antichrist, yeah, that's a pretty shitty pope. So currently, the church is still going and is run by the Swiss-born Pope Peter III. They did have a Peter II, and the end times didn't happen, so you got to go with Peter III.
My God, no respect.
And Peter III has been spending the majority of his time denying statements made by his predecessor, Pope Gregory XVIII. So essentially what happened to Greg is that he fell in love with a Palmarian nun, and they both decided to leave the church and get married. And afterwards, he was giving interviews with anyone who had asked. And he was like, yeah, this thing was a hoax from the start. Clemente didn't believe any of this. It was just to raise money off of people who believed that he saw visions. This is all bullshit.
Just a grift.
He says he's going to have to live with the guilt of continuing the hoax for the rest of his life. And he should have dissolved the church when he had the chance. Counterpoint, though, Greg and his wife also were caught in 2019 trying to rob the cathedral, were caught, and then a literal hammer fight ensued.
Holy shit.
The only weapons were hammers, and they just wailing. Greg sustained some very bad injuries, and was also found guilty by the Spanish police. He and his wife would be sentenced to 6.5 years in prison, and then immediately released on probation.
Oh, damn, okay.
So, Una, is there a lesson in this? Because I don't really know. Like, it's hard to be an anti-pope in the modern day, in the modern era.
Well, I mean, after 1869, it's just hard to be a pope, period, in the modern era.
It doesn't sound fun. Like, you get a free car. I believe Pope Paul, after he had gotten the job, said prior he's a very private guy. He was an introvert to begin with. And then after getting the job, he was just like, my typical solitude has been increased in this position.
Oh.
Just like, it was wholly awesome, the solitude that he had as pope. But I mean, he seemed to like solitude, so it worked out pretty well for him. But yeah, it doesn't seem like a great job.
I feel like for
me, a nice house,
great living conditions.
Yeah, I'm sure
totally. For me, I feel like I always grew up with like the sense of like, okay, with the Protestants, you always have like splinter groups. There's just so like from one Protestant sect became hundreds, and it's a Baskin Robbins out there, just flavors galore, whatever you want. And then the Catholics, it was just like, no, it's just Catholic, I just got the Catholic, and now this is just showing me my whole ass. I'm being told I'm wrong about that.
I mean, it's not like I'm
we
giving
got
you
anti-popes everywhere.
Yeah. Well, and like the Palmarian Church, they have a nice cathedral. It's very clear they got a lot of money. The pontiff hat looks like it's a cylinder of gold. It's like they're living well, but they're the only people to figure out how to do it. And I don't know what they even did different from everyone else, other than having more people supporting them. Well, and having a miracle to base it off of.
They had a miracle. Also, I feel like the terroir was an important factor. Like you get to the States, and I mean, everyone's got an agenda for their own religious freedom.
Mm-hmm.
With Spain, it's like, well, everyone's Catholic, and you can just kind of like fold in.
Yeah. So I guess this is the announcement of our Catholic sect we're going to be starting.
Yes.
We'll have a conclave. We'll only invite friends and
tax haven.
I don't think they even got tax exempt status. That's the fucked up thing.
Oh.
Like Francis probably did. He seemed to have his ducks in a row on how to run a skeevy organization, but I don't think Michael's done that. Lucian was living with his parents most of the time. I don't think he was like,
oh yeah, he was independent. He wasn't doing his own taxes.
He lived his whole life as a legit monk in poverty. I don't think he didn't need money or want money. He just needed that pendulum money, and that was it.
Oh my God, man. And so many people were worried about JFK and the Pope. And it's like, no, look around. There are popes here.
Yep, there are popes all around you.
I see popes.
All right, on that note, I'm very excited to say that next week's episode is going to be a new weird series that we're doing. So a long while ago, we talked about a fellow by the name of Bo Greitz, who believed himself to be the inspiration of Rambo, multiple Chuck Norris movies. He invaded Laos at least 4 times, never succeeded, and ran for president for a party that was started by a white supremacist and Nazi. So
yay.
The fun fact about him is we found out he has had one acting role in a movie, and we found it on YouTube. And so next week is going to be the very first episode of Gadfly Movie Night. We're going to have some guests, and we're going to discuss the one movie that Bo Greitz was in, the movie Rescue Force. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it's going to be great. BYOP, bring your own popcorn.
Yeah, so we're going to have some great guests. I'm excited for y'all to listen to it. If you want to watch the movie ahead of time, it is on YouTube. If the one location where it exists, it will say the movie is about 2.5 hours long. That is not true. What the movie does is it plays in its entirety for the first hour and a half and then restarts for some reason and then stops in the middle. So,
yeah, it's not a Scorsese film. It's just 90 minutes.
Oh no. In multiple ways, it is not a Scorsese movie.
Can't wait.
So we'll see you guys at the theater next time here on Gadfly. Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?